I'll start kicking people for that too. Sign it. If y'all want to eat, sign up for it. And if you want to eat something you like, then cook it yourself. And then there you go. You're good to go. The baked beans and the meats are taken care of. Oddly enough, and y'all have to forgive me, I've been struggling for the last couple of weeks with my stomach and stuff. But I'm believing everything's going to be okay. But oddly enough, today I'm preaching on a topic that nobody likes to hear and nobody likes to preach about. Tithe. And I'm going to use myself as an example because I have not tithed, and I have tithed, and I've not tithed, and I have tithed. But before I get into that, I'll go ahead and let you know this ain't going to be a long service because this is a short and sweet to the point. And the first thing I want to say is, tithe wasn't a suggestion. It was a commandment from God. Okay? So if you don't do it, you're breaking the commandment of God. Simple as that. But I'm going to show you little things. It's not just God saying, give it to me because I said so. There's points behind it. And like I said, I know it's a subject with some, especially a lot of churches, that you mention tithe and you lose people because they think it's all about the money. Oh, this church just wants money. I mean, does it look like we care about money? No. But the church does have to run. You know? Yeah. And my dad's probably going to get upset at me for saying this, but he's one man, he's 60-something years old, and he's driven probably 2,500 miles this week so far so he can pay these bills. Okay? And to me, that is one faithful pastor to make sure these doors don't close. Because they could have closed months ago. You know what I mean? But you know, and some people will tell you, well, that's in the Old Testament and God did away with that. If you could show me in the Bible where he did away with it, we'll stop doing it tomorrow. But you can't because he didn't. He would have made it known. You know what I mean? Even in the New Testament, there's people throwing tons of money in the bucket, and the lady threw 2 pennies, and he said she'll be blessed more than them because she gave all that she had. Okay? So tithing is a thing. It will always be a thing. It is what keeps us going. You know what I mean? But I wanted to talk to you just for a few minutes today about why we should, whether, other than we're commanded to. Okay? First, it's discipline that God's trying to show you with tithe. Okay? Discipline is not my strong suit. ADD, this and that. I kind of flip-flop. I rarely am like on task or, have discipline in certain areas of my life. But he's trying to discipline us for one thing, and that's that he comes first before everything. That's the first thing. And it's in a lot of different other parts of commandments and Bibles, but tithing, he comes first. You know what I mean? Without him, there is no job, there is no money, there is no nothing. So he's teaching us discipline because especially in like today's economy and all that stuff, you have to be disciplined to tithe and be able to pay your bills and to be able to make everything work. You got to, that takes discipline. That takes that. But it reminds us that God is the source of all things. Okay? It's like a watering jug, You can keep on pouring out of it, but you got to put water back in it if you want to get more water out of it. So discipline, yes, a big one. But another thing would be it shows what kind of trust you got in God. And that's one of my favorite ones is because I don't know about y'all, but when I tithe, I'm literally trusting God. Sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to tithe this, and then I'm not going to have any money left over, or I'm not going to have this. So you have to put, tithe in it. And it's the only part of the Bible where God gave you permission to test him. Test me with this and see what happens. And I've tested both ways, and we'll get to that later. But that extra 10% each month can really help me out. Or you think it can. Usually doesn't. And you wasted it, and then you feel guilty about it. I know we've all done it. Because no matter what, you feel guilty about it because you're like, it didn't help. So, it shows that you have trust in God, that you're willing to. And I think he picked grain and stuff back then because that was the most important thing. That was their livelihood. Now it's money because it's the most important thing in our lives pretty much. Without money, we have nothing. So it's the hardest thing. It's hard for a rich man to get into heaven. It's the hardest thing. That's why it is chosen, because it's hard. But other than discipline and showing trust in God, it helps us. It helps us grow our faith. Okay, and that's where my story, when I get to my story, it really did help my faith. It puts us in a spot to where we have to be faith. We have to believe. We have to have faith that he is going to do what he said. And reliance on God and faith, that's the pillars of Christ. You have to have faith. You have to believe. You have to rely on him. That's why it's so hard for the rich man to be saved, because the rich man relies on himself. He doesn't need God. And I think that's a big reason why America's in the crap hole that it's in now, is because for so long we don't need God. We make our own food. We do our own stuff. We follow this government that's poisoning us with food every day of our life. You know what I mean? We got things worked out. We don't need a God to provide for us. We don't need this stuff. We got it. We got it in the bag. And it's so important. Because, fourthly, it helps God's church. You know what I mean? Tithe not only helps the church stay open, help the bills get paid, helps my dad not have to drive 2,500 miles a week scraping pennies just to pay the church note and the power bill and his bills and everything else. It also helps when people walk up on our doorstep and are in need, which they do all the time. And you know how hard it is to look at them and say, we can help you a little bit, but we don't have nothing. You know what I mean? The church wasn't meant to be one man, one preacher, one this, one that. The church is a body. We're supposed to work together. We're supposed to put our money together. We're supposed to help people. But we become selfish, especially in this Bidenomics or whatever. But it doesn't matter. Me and Raven decided, I don't care if we're destitute, we're tithing. Okay? Let me tell you what happened. Year before last, I run a business and things can be up and down, up and down. They were down. And so I stopped tithing because I felt like I couldn't afford it. Okay? One truck went down, another truck went down, another truck went down, lawnmowers went down, all this stuff. About lost my business. Terrible. Terrible, terrible year. So I started praying about it, doing all that. Started tithing. Next thing I know, trucks fixed. The motors are fixed. All this, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'm going to remain faithful on it. I'm going to remain faithful on it. And let me tell you what. I don't have just bukus of money. I'm not just some rich person. But I've managed to pay off bills this year. I've managed to do a lot of stuff. I've managed to give my tithe and help out the church. But, and look, he might get mad at me for this too, but I don't know people individually who tithes in this church, but I do know how many things there are in there, and about 2% of what's in the bucket is what's in the church, okay? And this isn't to beat up everybody. I'm not saying, it doesn't matter if you God said 10% for a reason, because if you only got $20, that's all you got. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you have to carry the church all by yourself, but if everybody's faithful, then we can do it together, and we all benefit from it. Because one day, you're going to need it. One day, you're going to need it. One day, you could need it. It's for us. It's to help the church. It's to help people out there. It's to take care of all the necessities of the church. It's not give me money, give me money. It's not T.D. Jakes up in here, guys. It's not. Giving your tithe ain't going to make Jesus come back any sooner. I don't care what the TV tells you. We don't have gold thrones up here. We're not CBN. We're not Kenneth Copeland, who I believe is the devil his dadgum self. Son of a gun looks like the devil. Drinking blood and asking for money. I mean, good Lord. But that's why I wanted to just speak about. I just wanted to tell y'all about my personal experience, because my life was really hard when I wasn't tithing. And then when I started tithing too, by the way, it wasn't because I had extra. No. When I tithed, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do to pay bills. Boom. I mean, the Monday after my first tithe, I got a job that I made back double what I had tithed. I tithed off of that. 2 days later, I got a job double off of what I tithed off of that. Okay? That's just the reward. It's not why you should do it. You should do it because that's what God commands. But if you do it with the right heart, and because He's asked you to do it, and you understand what it's for, and you don't, if you're giving the money in the plate and you're thinking, then take it freaking back out of there, because we don't want it. He doesn't want it. We don't want it. Y'all don't want it. Go. Because, I told Dad he was like, oh no, y'all be careful how you preach about this. And I said, I'm going to be me, Dad. I ain't going to. It angers me. Because at myself too, because there's been years that I haven't done it. You know what I mean? And when you're behind the scenes and you see, this church we have helped lots of people. Y'all may not know it, but thousands and thousands. We have helped churches from going under. We have sent millions of Bibles to China. We have done a lot of good in this church because of the tithe. But I'm going to be honest with you. When I see my half-broken body dad out there working his fingers to the bone just to keep the doors open, it ain't right. And I know we all have to work. We all have to do the same thing, okay? But He's trying to take care of all of us and the church and His own family, and that's what He signed up for. And when He says no preacher wants to be a preacher, they're called to be a preacher, He's 100% right. Because it's hard. I've seen it since I was 3 years old. I've seen my dad struggle and push and push and push and push, and I'd have done gave up a long time ago. And I ain't gonna lie to you. Years ago, it ain't been any time recently, but I told him, I think it's time for you to retire, Dad. Shut the doors, retire. That's what you need to do. He's like, I can't, son. I'm like, why? He's like, because the people. I love the people. God loves the people. We got more to do. God ain't told me to shut it down, so I'll work myself to death until He tells me to shut it down. That's a good pastor, people. He's a good pastor. So, when you're doing your budgets this month, do like I do. Mine's a little bit different. I get a check here, a check there, a check here, a check there, a check here. Some checks 3 months later, and I want to go and just burn their whole establishment down. I did the job 3 months ago, but where's my freaking money? But what I do is, as soon as I get that check, I get my calculator out, boom, boom, boom. I immediately take it out, and I send it, or I put it away to make sure that I don't spend it on anything else. Okay? And this isn't a brag on me or nothing. I'm just a humble mess up like everybody else. But, my dad did tell me, he said, son, if you wouldn't have started tithing, he says, I have no idea. He said that I had no idea how I'd have paid this, how I'd have done this. I said, you ain't got to thank me for nothing. I said, I'm just doing what I should have been doing all along. And like I said, it's not about somebody giving $1 million and somebody giving one. It's about being faithful. Because God will take your $1 and He'll turn it into 10. It's the faithfulness that He needs. And I don't understand, preachers, my whole life I've heard that. Oh, we don't need to talk about tithe too much. We don't need to harp on tithe too much. Why? We harp on every other part of the Bible. Is it okay to commit adultery? Okay then. Is it okay not to tithe? Okay then. So what's the big deal? It's because of the people that you see on TV that have ruined it for everybody else, that are living in $1 million mansions and doing all this stuff. There's only one man that I can think of. He's my most famous preacher in the world, and I just forgot his freaking name. Yeah, Billy Graham. He drove a 1999 Honda Accord and lived in a $100,000 house. His whole entire thing. When T.D. Jakes pulled up to him and he pulled up in this broke down thing, T.D. Jakes was like, man, I said, T.D. Jakes, you should have changed your life right then because you're living wrong. Now, there ain't nothing wrong with being successful by any means. But, there are literally pastors on TV saying Jesus isn't coming back because you're not tithing enough. That is 100% false. He ain't coming back for money. He ain't coming back for money. And He ain't coming back for peace neither. When He comes back, you better be on the right side because it's going to be pretty scary. Just like the first time He came here. I ain't here for peace. I'm here for division. And when He comes back, it's going to be the ultimate division. And he knows everything. And tithe is a big, big part of being faithful. So I don't care where you at, what you're doing. If you make $20 on a job, you might think, $2, $2, put it in your piggy bank until Sunday, throw it in the bucket. Because it ain't about the money. It's about the faithfulness. It's about God knowing that you held on to that $2 because it is His. It is not yours. And you put it in that plate, and it helped grow the church. It helped build the church. And I promise y'all, our lives, our financial lives, changed drastically when I started being actually faithful with tithe. And like I said, do I have just bukus of extra money and all this stuff? No. But my plan was to pay off some bills this year. I've done a lot of that. I've gotten extra jobs out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And then now the devil's decided to try to attack me in other areas of my life, and I'm rebuking that too. He doesn't want me to be faithful. He doesn't want me to have faith. He doesn't want me to believe in anything. I just want y'all to be in prayer for me. My stomach is shut down again completely. So, it's putting a strain on me. It's putting a strain on my family. So just keep me in prayer. And I still believe that God can heal. I believe He's going to walk me through it. I believe He's going to get me through it. A lot of people don't understand. Literally every day of my life, I'm thinking about how I'm going to survive, what I'm going to eat, if I'm going to eat, if I'm going to be able to keep it down, if I'm going to, it's terrifying. And it really takes a toll on my mental health. It really takes a toll on my wife. It takes a toll on my children. It takes a toll on everything to where I just kind of want to run off into a cave and just leave everybody else out of it. But when I was singing this morning, God, and I was talking to Raven in the back, this is the place we're supposed to come and unload. This is the place that we're supposed to come and feel comfortable enough spilling it out. Whatever's on your heart. If the devil's attacking you, this is where you come to get it. And I think about Timothy that day. He come and fell before the God on the altar. And boy, they said he was dying, and he ain't dying now, is he? Because he had faith. And I'm believing the same for myself. And I pray, and I've been praying for 20 years. But there's always that 21st year, like Daniel, 21st day. Maybe my angel's caught up fighting a big old war somewhere, and he's going to come and get here. But, I don't know why I even said any of that. I just needed my brothers and sisters to be praying for me. But As long as we stay faithful, doesn't matter what happens to this body, doesn't matter what happens to us. It's what's inside of us, is our soul. And tithing is one of those commandments. It helps more than you know. It does more things than you know. It's a necessity. And I'm glad I can talk to my family, my church family, and we can all understand that this isn't a money grab. This isn't a everybody's in trouble type thing. It's just like I've been making sure that every dime that comes into my hands, I don't care if I found it on the street, I don't care if it's a check, cash, immediately I take that 10%. And you'd be amazed at the couple dollars here, the couple dollars there, the $5 here. It adds up. And it can help. Because I'm telling you, pastors, he's wearing thin, guys. Thin. But guess what? He'll do it till the day he dies and will never stop. Because that's a man that will follow. My dad's a lot of things. He's got a lot of flaws, but loyal to God and loyal is one that you will not break from him. He will be loyal to the end, till he's dead. So, let's all just take this next week and really pray about it and really, really look into ourselves and really start giving the 10% and offerings if we can and really start being faithful with it and watch what happens. Like it will grow. Things will get better. The church will get better. We could get rid of some of these leaks. We could help the people who are out there starving. We can help each other in the church. You know, my dad could not have to go and drive 3,000 miles a week for nothing. He don't make much out there doing that stuff, just enough to get by. And we can do it because we're called to do it. And God said, your cups will be overflowing. And I believe him, and I believe that he will do that. So can we all agree with that together? Y'all receiving that? I'm so glad, because I was worried about talking about it, but yeah. Yeah.
Since I've lived in Mississippi, and that's been many years, and I gave my life to God, renewed it, because when we were young, we did it because I did it because everybody else got baptized and stuff. But when I changed my life, I have always paid tithe. I had an unbelieving husband at first. He got on board real quick like. And so I take my tithe money and my offering, which don't pray about offering, because it doesn't say what to give, but he'll tell you, and it can be from as much as your tithe, just put it that way. So the Lord, when I prayed what I was supposed to do about that, he gave me a figure, and I have always done it. When I get my Social Security check, that comes off the top. When I got my paychecks when I worked, that came off the top. Now, I've had a lot of stuff come against me, a lot. And I had a huge credit card bill that came against me that was like $6,000. And the Lord opened a door, and Jolene can verify this, and John can too. And he has given me a little extra that I have got my credit card bill in, 10 months, 11 months, all the way down to 2,400. 24 with my jobs, my little jobs that I picked up that are temporary. And I am getting ahead. But the secret is when you get your paycheck or you get your allowance or you get your whatever, because this has no age group, take it out first. I take it out first just like you did. I get mine in spurts. I take it out. I put it in an envelope. I didn't have one today, so I put it in a certain place. And then I got another little thing, and I put it in another little place. And it grows. And you know what? As I was doing this, and as I told Jolene, I said, I got this to help me get out of debt. What happens? Stuff starts breaking down. more debt. Stuff starts, and and it's like the devil saying, "Go ahead, I'm gonna show you. Go ahead, I'm gonna show you." And I kept right on doing what I'm gonna do. Then I've got extra work, extra little things to do, and I'm telling you, I got a 0% interest on that credit card, and I'm gonna have that paid off quickly, and then I can live. But I was drowning. So you cannot outgive God, and it's our job. It's our job. This is our church that we love, and like he said, we want it to keep going. Where y'all going if the doors go down? I mean, not that John said anything about it. I'm just saying, what would we do? This is our place. This is where we worship. This is God. But God, the Bible says what? Try me. And if you try him, and if something breaks down, you keep trying him. And something else will break down, you keep trying him, and bam, something's going to come in your lap. It might be a gift. It might be an inheritance. It might be anything. But God takes care of us. How many of y'all have not been taken care of? How many of y'all have missed a meal? That's right. Even if you don't. Yeah, you can look at us and say you don't. But I just wanted to say that because I've been feeling like I wanted to tell this testimony anyway. And Joey was preaching about it. So he says, test me and try me. And you know what? You got to stand and talk to God one day. So I don't want to be judged.
That's a good testimony to hear. And that's how it works. Because the funny thing is I started out not tithing in the hole. Then I started tithing. I not only got out of that hole, but I made more money, which made my tithe more. And my tithe just keeps going up, and my increase keeps going up and up. That's how it works. So I think we all get it. We all understand. So let's really put to it and really try. Because I know my dad's going to keep these doors open as long as he can. And exactly. We're all a family here. Yeah. Exactly. If we're faithful with what we do, God takes care of the rest. If we're not faithful with what we do, God can't do anything. He can't walk. And this isn't just about Dad. This is about the church. You say you wreck your bike or something like that. You can't pay your bills or something like that. The church is here to help people. That's what we do. We can't help if we ain't got nothing. Yeah, if we can barely keep the doors open, then how are we, Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. And my dad, if we have to lose this building, you better believe my dad's going to be outside underneath the tent. He ain't going to give it up. That's right. But why get to that point? And let's start telling people about this place. Let's start really, because that was my next thing is with me being sick and just things going on in my life, I've really pulled away from speaking to people. And that's something that we also need to work on. Spreading the gospel, even to people we think might already know. They might already know about it, but do they really know about it? It's time for us to get back out there and to start really pushing. Because the guys, look around you. We finna have 2 moons. I don't care what you say. That's weird. Never before in the history of the universe, and now we're about to have 2 moons for a couple of months out of nowhere. Come on. There will be signs in the skies. You know what I mean? We got one president who's getting shot at every other day. We got one president who absolutely, I don't care, Democrat or Republican, I love y'all. But that woman ain't answered one freaking question yet. Not one. I can't think of one question she's answered. And when you bring up her past, I was not going to take away guns. Well, what about this video? I'm going to take away guns. I'm not going to ban fracking. Well, what about this video? I'm going to ban fracking. We're living in some crazy times, guys. And we need to, I'm praying for rapture. Come on, come get us. Because guess your boy's going to be at the table. Everybody else is going to be, woo, I'm going to be at the feast. Just, I'm going to have me a big old heavenly spoon, just shoving it in. And God's going to look at y'all and go, leave the boy alone. Let him eat. He's been waiting a long time for this. Y'all going to see me dancing and just popping it up in my mouth. I don't have to eat in heaven, but I'm going to want to. Oh. But I'm glad we could talk about this as a family. And I'm glad Dad had to stay out of town. I'm not glad he had to, but when he called me and said, son, is there any way? I said, Daddy, you've already been out there all week. He said, I know, but while I'm here, I might as well try to get everything I can get done, you know. And don't get me wrong, my dad's a man's man. If he can't walk, he'll crawl. He don't want no pity. He don't want nothing like that. But, yeah, us as a church, I think we could turn this around. And I think that God's going to start blessing each of us from now forward, and we're going to stay faithful with it. And you can do like I do. I promise you. The other day, they called me and said, hey, you got a check ready. I had totally even forgot it existed because it has been so long. I picked it up. It was a $500 check. I went straight to the bank, deposited it. I got on Cash App, sent the tithe to Dad and said, tithe. You can send it to him Cash App, on the thing, church app, pretty much anywhere. You don't have to hold on to it all week. I'll end up losing it or spending it. So as soon as I get it in my hand, boom, get rid of it. Just, you can have it. I don't want it because once it's out of my hands, it's out of here. The temptation to spend it is gone. Everything's done. So, and I believe that everybody in this church is about to be blessed. I believe that God's going to send me an answer, a healing for my body. I want y'all to stand in line with me for that. That my stomach will work. I will be able to eat. That I won't lay in bed at night feeling like I'm going to die. And anxiety. And my wife's just ready to lose her mind because we don't know what to do. You know, it's very stressful in my house right now in my life. But I've only got one option, and that's trusting the Lord. And I just want each and every one of y'all to know that I love y'all. My family loves y'all. Y'all are like family to me. So we can do this. We can take care of this church, and we can do our part. And if it doesn't, I'm going to bring out the book of Corinthians on you people, and I'm just going to start throwing it. Because Paul was no joke. Paul would look you dead in the face and say, you're wrong, and you're doing it wrong, and you need to do it right. And guess who Paul was for? The Gentiles. And the reason why Paul had to be so tough is because the Gentiles were idiots. All they wanted to do was argue and complain and blah, blah, blah. That's why we have 17 different denominations, because can't nobody get along. Jesus didn't create all these denominations. We did. And I'm going to say, this is totally off subject, but I just want to make this clear to everybody in here. And the camera, I don't care if they come and get me. I don't know if you've been listening to what the Pope's been saying. Okay? About literally saying that all religions lead to Christ. There is no wrong way to Christ. We're all the same people. We're all together. We need to just all worship the same God. False prophet, straight up the devil from hell. It's not true. There is only one way, and we all know who that is. I am the way, the truth, and the life, and that's Jesus Christ. And that's the only way. There's going to be a lot worse things to throw you off in the coming months and the coming years, because we are in the end times, I believe. But we're talking about the leader of one of the biggest, they're probably the biggest so-called Christian organization in the world. And he's going to say that? It's the false prophet 100% all day long. There is no other way to the Father except through the Son. The straight and narrow path. That's it. So, well, thank y'all. I feel like we've learned something. I feel like we're all on the same page. We're together. I kind of wanted it to be more like a family meeting than an actual preaching. But I think we're going to be all right. And God's going to bless each and one of us when we leave this place today. Let's all stand and give him praise, and we'll get on out of here. I wonder how the saints are going to do today. 2-0, baby. 2-0, baby. All right, let's go to prayer. Dear God, we thank you so much, again, just for allowing us to be able to come together and to worship you and to preach your word and to share the gospel, God. We ask that you send new people into our midst that we may minister to, God. And that those times when we feel a little nudge to go and talk to somebody, that we don't just shrug it off like I've done time and time again. Lord, help us listen to your voice. Help us hear your voice. And Lord, help us be faithful with tithe. Bless us with extra, and we will take that 10%. We will take that offering, God, and we will put it back into the church, back to you, because you're the one who gave it to us. You're letting us keep 90% of it, and we're just giving back 10%. Sometimes 10% can seem like a lot, but we know that you're going to replace that 10%. We know that you're going to take care of us, God. And if we're faithful, this church can grow. Our pastor can be better. Our lives can be better if we just follow the words that you have written down for us, God. Sometimes, God, I'm sorry, we're just plain stupid. You wrote a book with instructions and we still act like we're confused, and we're so sorry. Lord, no more interpretation of the Bible. If it says it, I'm going to do it. And if it says it, you can do it and will do it. The doubts and all this stuff have to flee from our mind. Everybody in this church that needs a prayer answered, I believe that it will be answered. I believe that my body will be healed and I will be able to eat when I leave this building, God. I believe that my heart will beat normally. I believe that all of the years that we have all had to struggle and suffer will dissipate, God. Because you are the Alpha, the Omega, the King of Kings, the healer. You are everything. And we just give glory and thanks to you, Lord. We know and we expect blessings when we leave this building today, God. And next Sunday, I just truly believe in my heart that you have going to have blessed us all so much this week that tithe is going to be more than enough. Lord, right now I'm praying for 3 months of tithe to pay the bills so that my dad does not have to go out and work. That we can help people and that people will be able to come here and get the help they need. I believe it and I receive it, God. It is done. We thank you. We love you. We praise you. We ask you for safety, God. Bless all the food that everyone's about to eat when they go home or wherever they go. And help us all, God. And we all said, Amen. Thank y'all so much. And we'll see y'all next Sunday.